Jean-Jacques Rousseau was one of the most important philosophers of the Enlightenment, and his work, The Social Contract, remains one of the fundamental texts of political philosophy. His goal was not just to describe how societies function, but to answer a crucial question: how can a person remain free within an organized society? For Rousseau, the natural state of human beings was a period of complete freedom, where people lived independently without being subject to rules or authority. However, over time, the development of society, inequality, and the desire for power created the need for a new form of organization. Thus, the social contract emerged, a mutual agreement between individuals forming a society and the state that governs them. Rousseau's fundamental argument is that a government's legitimacy does not come from force or hereditary succession, but from the free consent of its citizens. For a society to be just, its laws must reflect the general will of the people, the collective interest, rather than the ambitions of a small elite. This concept lies at the heart of democracy and continues to be a subject of debate even today. The concept of the general will is at the core of Rousseau's social contract. Unlike individual desires, which may serve personal interests, the general will expresses the common good. The legitimacy of a society is based on its ability to reflect this collective will through its laws and institutions. However, the key question arises: how can a society ensure that its laws truly serve the general will and not the interests of a few? Rousseau argues that sovereignty must belong to the citizens and cannot be transferred to a monarch or a small ruling elite. True freedom is not found in unchecked individual action, but in active participation in decision-making that affects the whole. For such a system to work, citizens must be equal under the law and actively engaged in shaping their society. If power is concentrated in the hands of a few, the social contract becomes distorted and turns into a tool of exploitation. This leads to Rousseau's critical idea that political freedom is inseparable from collective participation. The challenge is how this theory can be applied in practice, something that remains a topic of debate even today. Rousseau's idea that power should come from the general will and not belong to a monarch or an elite raises an important question. How can a society function democratically without falling into the trap of majority tyranny? Rousseau did not believe that democracy simply meant following the will of the majority. Instead, he argued that there must be a balance where laws reflect the common good. Governance should not be based on temporary interests or emotional reactions, but should be grounded in fundamental principles of justice and freedom. Here, he introduces the concept of the social citizen, an individual who does not act solely for personal gain, but considers the well-being of the collective. In an ideal society, all citizens participate in decision-making, either directly, as in ancient direct democracies, or through representatives who are bound by the general will. However, Rousseau recognized that such a system is difficult to implement. He believed that good laws and political institutions could help maintain justice, but this requires constant vigilance from the citizens themselves. If people stop caring about their collective freedom, the social contract loses its power, and authority once again becomes concentrated in the hands of a few. This danger is not just theoretical, it is a reality we have witnessed repeatedly throughout history. Rousseau's idea of the social contract is not just a theoretical concept, it has direct implications for how we perceive the legitimacy of power and the relationship between citizens and the state. If power comes from the general will, then the government is not an independent entity that imposes rules, but an institution that executes the will of the people. However, this raises a crucial question. Can a government remain faithful to the general will, or does it inevitably evolve into a mechanism that serves its own interests. Rousseau was particularly skeptical of governments, believing that power tends to concentrate in the hands of a few, transforming democracy into a system dominated by political corruption. To prevent this danger, Rousseau emphasized the importance of citizen participation. In his view, democracy is not just a form of government, but an ongoing process where people must stay actively engaged and hold their leaders accountable. When citizens withdraw from public affairs and delegate their power to politicians or institutions without oversight, society ceases to be truly free. This is why Rousseau believed that political freedom requires strong institutions, transparency, and constant vigilance by the people. Yet the question remains, how can we maintain this balance in practice? Rousseau's theory of the social contract had a profound impact on political thought and remains a topic of discussion even today. His ideas on the general will, the legitimacy of power, and citizen participation significantly influenced the French Revolution, the rise of democratic governments, and modern political philosophy. However, his work has not been without criticism. One major concern raised by critics is that the concept of the general will can become a tool for oppression. If someone claims to represent the general will, they may justify authoritarian practices in the name of the common good. History has shown many instances where governments have used this logic to enforce policies that ultimately serve only a privileged elite. Additionally, Rousseau's belief that true democracy requires direct citizen participation is difficult to implement in modern societies with millions of people. Today, most democracies rely on representative systems, where citizens elect leaders rather than making decisions themselves. Nevertheless, Rousseau's core idea that power must come from the people and serve the common good remains highly relevant. The question that arises is this: can modern society find ways to make democracy more participatory while maintaining a balance between governmental authority and the will of the people? Rousseau's theory teaches us that freedom and justice are not guaranteed. They must be fought for and protected. Today, more than ever, his ideas continue to challenge us. Do we truly live in societies where power comes from the will of the people? Or have we drifted away from the ideal of the social contract? If you enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe. It's a simple way to support us in creating more content like this. Also, share your thoughts in the comments. Do you think modern democracy truly follows Rousseau's principles, or have we strayed from them? We'd love to hear your perspective. If you want to see more videos like this, check out our channel. There are so many great books and ideas we can explore together. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you in the next video.